Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. And please continue dining and getting beverages. It's my sincere honor and privilege to again host this evening where we pay tribute to all of you who give so unselfishly of your time to make Monona what now I'm not the only one saying it, but the greatest city in Dane County. And you might not have, or you might have missed this, but who would have ever thought you'd hear the term again, Monona, one of Dane County's fastest growing cities. Monona, by percentage growth last year, was the fourth fastest growing community in Dane County. Monona, landlocked Monona. So that's a big thank you to the CDA and the Plan Commission and the Building Inspection Department and everyone who helps to create this housing stock. And as you travel down Midmore, it looks there's not a parade of homes site that's more beautiful than Midmore with all that's going on there. So again, welcome. I'm Mayor Bob. Just full disclosure, I know you're expecting humor, charm, that normal Mayor Bob kind of person. I've been sicker than a dog for the last week, so I'm going to be grumpy and crabby and blowing my nose probably. So I want to apologize to everyone. It's not that I'm not thrilled to be participating, but I feel kind of like a dog. But this is too important to not be here. We're going to start right up with the Distinguished Service Awards. A little bit of history before we get into this, because even though this is my fourth or fifth one of these, I wasn't sure I knew exactly how this all came together. So, what year was the first awards recognition? Anyone want to take a guess? 1977 was the first year honoring volunteerism in Monona. How many awardees have been given this award in that time? 219. So I did some math, knowing the population of Monona, knowing that on average, Mononans stay in their home about 50 years. Each of you will receive this award at least 2, if not 3 times in your lifetime. So just a heads up. And there have been 8 repeats, so some of you are already on that duplicative, and tonight there will be some of those too. The mayoral award is the newbie award. That's an award where the mayor selects those that they want to honor. 1997 was the first year of that award, and there's been 47 recipients so far. And surprisingly, there's actually been, in that briefer time, there's been 2 two-time winners, and there's actually been 1 3-time winner. Alder Kathy Thomas has received the Mayor's Award 3 times. And I might note, if she keeps making those Kathy Thomas brownies for her sick neighbor, she might be a 4-time winner, so stay tuned. There's been some changes in the ground rules of this award. This is actually formally part of our ordinances that this awards evening occurs. And the composition is that the previous mayor, with this wording now being added this winter, who is willing and able to serve, knowing full well when I'm in Ireland I'm not coming back for these meetings, and 4 residents that are selected by the mayor. And here's the change, because people ask, well, employees get the award and they're being paid. That's not volunteerism, or is there an employee award, or how does this work? So just to make sure it's all clear how these awards work this evening, this is the exact verbiage that the City Council adopted this winter. Of the functions and powers is that the committee has the responsibility to review, and it used to say employ, and volunteer citizens. Employees have been struck. They're being honored in their own separate measurements through administration. Volunteer citizens' length of breadth and service to the community. Awards are considered for all citizen volunteers with at least 10 years of cumulative service. Recommendations for the award for 3 individuals are considered at an annual meeting to be held no later than 60 days prior to the award event. Distinguished Service Awards are presented at the city's annual appreciation event and consist of a lapel pin, or another nice gift here, and a certificate of appreciation. The committee also has the opportunity to make a recommendation to the mayor for the mayoral awards. The current mayor listens to no one, just ask his wife. So those recommendations may not have been listened. No, there was great recommendations. So this is to honor volunteers, but the mayoral award could be to a city employee if the mayor so chooses. So is that all clear now? I hope so. The first volunteer is the first because he has to leave to volunteer and can't be here very long and has a large cadre and is one of those repeat winners. And knowing all he's done, there will be more repeats because the impact this individual has on this city is probably without match across the broad base. The first award this evening is for Dan Eckloff. Well deserved. So this is volunteerism that it's hard to top this. He has served as the paramedic for Monona Volunteer Fire EMS for 35 years. 35 years of volunteering, saving our lives and protecting this community. He's been the assistant chief for the last 4 years. His profession, after he retired, this is quite the retirement list. His profession is building inspector, among other things, and he fills in for our building inspector when he's on vacation. Because of his professional experience in building inspection, he's also served on the city's facilities committee since 2013. Dan also builds out all of the city's police vehicles. So these beautiful new Ford, new tech, all the decaling, all the bumper guards, all the lights, all the sirens, all the buttons, everything in there. Dan Eckloff is responsible for those installations. And it is a saga to put one of those together, so we're very fortunate with those skill sets. And Dan also travels the state to administrate licensing exams for paramedics, and that is why we are doing him right now, because he's leaving to administer an exam right now. So please join me in congratulating Mr. Dan Eckloff.
Well, first off, thank you for this. I appreciate it. I want to really thank all my brothers and sisters of the fire department. I was quite taken back when I walked in here and saw all of my cohorts at the fire department here tonight. I appreciate your support. Monona is a fantastic community. We've got just all the services we need. We've got our sense of community. People live in Monona because they want to live in Monona. I've been here almost 40 years. It's just a fantastic place to raise a family. I can't say enough about it. So thank you all. I appreciate it.
Our next honoree is unable to be with us this evening, but the family extended her thank you and her great pleasure knowing that she received this. Ms. Mary Lou Berzik was with the Landmarks Commission from 1993 through 2014 and actually chaired that committee. So, in absentia, please thank Mary Lou. Anyone who is a spouse of somebody who volunteers for all that you do when you do city service or municipal government has got to be a saint. And I know this recipient's husband, so this is double sainthood. But that's not why Leslie Bussey is being honored this evening. It's because of what she accomplishes in spite of her husband, Alder Jim Bussey. Leslie Bussey is a civil environmental engineer with a degree from the UW-Madison. She's currently employed as the project manager for the national firm SCS Engineers, who've done substantial work in our community and throughout Dane County. She has served on the Public Works Committee since 1997 and also has served on the Sustainability Committee since 2011 and has been very committed to that committee, which I know many of you have heard this speech from me. That is an amazing committee in that it actually turns a profit to the tune of almost $1 million of grants that they've received. We are still, to this day, the largest solar municipality in the state of Wisconsin. And that group, and Leslie has scratched her head, as many of us have, from the foundation of and the formation of the Sustainability Committee in terms of what its mission and role, because there's so many things that that term can define. But through her help and the rest of that group, it's just done amazing things for the city. So on behalf of the city, I would like to honor, one last thing too, is in preparing these remarks this afternoon, I didn't feel good, so I went Googling. And there was not a lot to find, but I did find one thing. Again, knowing who she's married to, Leslie is actually a licensed dangerous goods shipping certified license holder. And I thought, what does that mean? And then I realized every time she has to escort Jim around, that qualifies as dangerous goods. Leslie Bussey. Next is, again, for public safety. We did a survey of the city residents just a year and a half ago that helped us do some visioning and planning for the community. And it's, what do you want in the city? And we all have our wishes, dog park wishes, and but without doubt, the number one desire and the number one pride of this community is always our police and fire protection. And as evidenced tonight, when you see this kind of turnout from our volunteer fire department and our professional fire department, it is something that makes this city really unique, and the police department is equally as important here. And we have another one of those fire guys who I want to give an award tonight, Bob Larson. Bob Larson is an attorney, correct, Bob, by profession? Yep. And has been on the Board of Review since the year 2000. So that's one of those thankless committees that I got to do a little begging to get people on. But Bob has stuck through it through thick and thin, and he's actually chaired that committee since 2003, so 12 years as chair. And Joan Andrus, our wonderful city clerk, she provided a comment when I wanted to know her thoughts about Bob. And she described Bob as very level-headed, which is what you want on Board of Review, and very fair-minded when dealing with the contentious issues of property assessment appeals. And I've got roped into some of those because of being mayor, and I always say, you have to go to Board of Review, and they can be very, very contentious. So I tip my hat and bow my gray hair for someone who's done that and your willingness there. The one thing, again, Google's an amazing tool, just an amazing tool. Just want to remind you, when I Google you, there's several hits that Wisconsin lostmoney.org, you show up that there's money in the state coffers that somehow you've left behind. So I'm only asking for 10%. So you might want to check that out. So please join me in thanking Super Volunteer Robert Larson.
Well, we don't get a lot of hugs and kisses at the Board of Review. So I must say that this recognition and appreciation is greatly appreciated. in a way, I'll have to and want to share this with my other board members. I think a couple of them, Dick Mastenbrook and Pat Shermack, have been on the board longer than me. So they all help me keep me going. And then a very special thank you to our clerk, Joan Andrews, who really gets us organized, schedules everything, and makes our job certainly as easy as it can be. So thank you, Joan. Thank you.
So I've been looking at what families have really done great things for the community as a team, either in support of one another or in their own individual efforts. And again, I found a couple people that I think fit that, and it was so much fun honoring couples that I wanted to continue that. And the first couple I would like to honor tonight are Mary Ann and Larry Reed. Mary Ann was a founding member of the Monona EMS, which began operation on February 10th, 1978. And she was a volunteer EMT on the department for 17 years, in addition to her job as a registered nurse. Mary currently is also a volunteer member of the new committee that we have that's reviewing our future fire department needs in the community, and she was quick to volunteer her services and carries all that wealth of experience with her. Mary Ann, I do want to note, as many people probably in this room here, was born and raised in Monona. Then she found this guy by the name of Larry, who was born and raised in New Orleans. He spent 3.5 years in the Air Force as a medic before coming to Madison to attend college. Larry was a part-time driver for the department. He drove the fire engine, working every Thursday and rotating weekends. Larry and Mary Ann met through the department. Dan Eckloff, who we honored earlier, encouraged Larry to ask Mary Ann out on a date. What a super volunteer that Eckloff is. They dated, they married, put down roots in Monona, and have 2 children, Katie and Clint. Larry then went on to work for the State Department of Emergency Management and worked his way up to the position of Bureau Director. Larry is now retired, not really, because we keep him busy at the city. And he was very instrumental, and this is one of the main reasons I wanted to honor him this evening. The mayor's office, as many of you know, takes place with Shirley on Sunday mornings at the farmer's market. I set up my stand there at a picnic table for 2 hours every week. And Larry came up to me 4 years ago and said, you know, Mayor, my background is in emergency management, emergency preparedness, and I'm just not sure that the city has all the right tools in case that, God forbid, once in a lifetime event would strike. And so what does that mean? So he would come every Sunday and sit down and tell me this is what, and I'm like, could you help? And he did. He took the bull by the horns, and he helped create our emergency management preparedness so that if the Texas storms of this week, and God forbid that that would ever happen, but these huge events seem to be happening more regularly, I think we're a lot better off because of Larry Reed's preparedness. And Larry also serves on the Public Service Safety Commission and has been on that since 2002. So would you please join me in a double thank you for Mary Ann and Larry Reed.
I'm going to jump in front of Larry here. As the mayor has alluded to, we couldn't do this without family. Nobody can volunteer without family. I'm proud to say my little brother is on the fire department, my nephew is on the fire department, and my daughter is now volunteering for Maple Bluff Fire and EMS. You can't, as you said, you can't go out the door to go to meetings, to go to training, to go to drills, to go on calls, not only when you have a house full of guests, but when you're getting ready for a house full of guests, unless you have your family behind you willing to pick up the load. And as one of the firefighters from Barneville said, you can't go out and help other people during a disaster unless you know that your family can take care of themselves at home so you aren't worried about them. So I want to thank the family. I also want to thank 3 couples that mentored us as young EMTs, in addition to Yenta for telling Larry to go out with me. The 3 couples that mentored us young EMTs were George and Cease Watson, Joe and Jean Hansen, and Cliff and Bev Lean. And for us young EMTs, they really parented us, and I'm appreciative of that.
Thanks, dear. As the mayor said, I grew up in New Orleans, and I survived Hurricane Betsy in 1965. Never did I dream that I would work in emergency management and deal with disasters like that in Wisconsin. And I knew the city's disaster plan needed to be updated. That is not uncommon. It's typically the rule, because small communities have very limited resources. And I couldn't sit at home with a capability to do something about it and not help out. So I approached the mayor at his office on Sunday morning and offered to sign up for the job. And we did it. We had training. We put a plan together. Every city agency participated. And it's not perfect. None ever is, but we're better off than we were before. And I just want to point out my mother, Geraldine, and my sister, Bernice, who are survivors of Katrina. And they moved up here after that, and now they're Wisconsinites. They're voters and taxpayers, and they love it up here. And thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Have I told anyone I really love this job? This is when you get to meet people and work with people like this, it truly is a privilege. And to live in a community like this where you actually can know just about everyone in the community is a sincere privilege. Well, if to honor 2 people is a fun thing, just imagine how great it is when you honor a committee. So we have a plethora here on this next one. And the next mayoral award I would like to bestow upon the Monona Festival Committee. You know them from every 4th of July holiday. This is their 30th year. And you know them for such honorable events as the Wisconsin Wife Carry Championship. A handy, if somewhat difficult way of proving your ability to support your significant other through thick and thin. This bizarre contest has its origins in the 19th century when the area now known as Finland was rife with brigands who indulged in bedside looting. The equally questionable practice of abducting local women, and not too many people are keen on taking on the law by abducting their neighbors anymore. So the Wisconsin Wife Carrying Championship tries to recreate that heat of the chase, where contestants who win received their weight in beer. So what an amazing event. A fun part of the many fun parts of the Monona Festival, but they've done amazing things to make this a better community. And I just would like to touch on a few of those points of what the festival committee has done. In this, their 30th year, they just published, I saw on Facebook, the music lineup. It's going to be a robust and excellent musical lineup. The Community Festival Committee has returned the money made at the festival to the citizens of Monona. Just a few of the items provided by the Festival Committee include the Monona Library Building Fund, where they gave thousands and thousands of dollars to improve the library. The Dream Park, which is to this day the #1 attraction in Monona. The Winnequa Park Gazebo. the mushroom fountain in the Monona Community Kiddie Pool right outside those windows. Purchased one of the entrance signs to the city, paid for stained glass window in City Hall, donated trees and evergreens to the Monona Parks, provided funds for the Memorial Day Parade, assisted in funding Playtime Productions, Teddy Stutz Children's Theater Group. But this is probably one of the greatest things, especially this week, that this organization provides. Several years ago, they created the Dan Johnson Scholarship, which is part of their ongoing mission to give back to the community that supports the festival. The scholarship is awarded to deserving students at Monona Grove High School. The scholarship is named to honor the memory of Dan Johnson. Dan Johnson, a 2005 graduate of Monona Grove, lost his life in 2010 while serving in Afghanistan as part of an Air Force explosives ordnance disposal team. Dan was an extraordinary individual with a strong sense of duty and qualities that scholarship recipients must possess. So this is an amazing organization that in its relatively young history has done so much. And they provide, as every square inch of land out of here on the 4th of July evening, there will be 40 to 50,000 people lining to watch the fireworks that are provided by the Monona Community Festival. So this evening I'd like to honor the new festival and the older festival, because I remember the Tim Torino days, but I would also like to welcome the Vice President of the organization, Belle Heberling. And Tim, is Tim still here? Yep. If you want to come up too, because you played such a role in getting me involved in Monona, and I owe so much. So Belle, welcome.
Well, thank you so much for giving us this wonderful award. President Bisbee couldn't be here, so he asked me to make a few comments, so I will. So we wanted to let you know some of the history of the festival, and it actually started as the Monona Fun Days back in the 1960s. Some of you may remember that. And run by...
Technical director is asking you to put the mic closer.
Oh, I'm sorry?
This is broadcast worldwide.
Okay. Oh, no, that's scary. So it started as the Monona Fun Days back in the 1960s and run by the American Legion. We incorporated in 1985, and then the first organizers of this are some people who are still around. Bob Schaefer, Mary Ann Litchfield, Nancy Klinert, Kathy Thomas, Zona Apple, Ernie Mershauser, Whitey Junkins, and John Klinzing. And then, of course, everybody knows that Tim Torino stepped in for about, 11 to 13 years, I hear. And he was assisted by Jim Bisbee and Rick and Sue Volbrecht and Steve Brooks. And then now we have some other members that are helping us out, and they are Rick and Ruth Cradaville and Jim Heberling. They've both been on the committee more than 10 years, both of them, all three of them, I should say. And then Dan Van Abel and Steve Tortoriso, who are board members, and they have been with us for way over 10 years. Jake Bisbee, Steve Franklin, and Laura Bowles serve as board members, and Jim Bisbee has been president and then has at least 20 years with the festival. So, we also want to thank the City of Monona for all their generous support, and special thanks to the Monona Police Department, especially to our police liaison, Kurt Weigel, for all their help in lending a hand in coordinating our security needs and making sure we have a safe event year after year. Big thank you goes out to the Public Works Department and the Parks Department for all they do, including lawn maintenance and getting our festival supplies and equipment down and back to the city garage every year. And a special thank you to the Monona Volunteer Fire Department for all their hard work during the setup. It's a huge task to do the setup, and with all the fencing and the lighting, and we just couldn't do it without their help. Setup used to be a really huge undertaking for all of us, but now, guess what? We just sit back and watch. It's great. They do an amazing job. Special thanks to Captain Jim Byer, the resident electrician who makes sure that we don't get electrocuted. So, a few highlights for the festival this year we want you to know about. It is our 30th anniversary. The kids from Wisconsin will be back. We have a new band, the U.S. Army 132nd Band will be playing on the 4th of July. And there will be a Friday fish fry in the park by the Club Tavern, our new caterer. And we promise the best fireworks and show that Monona has ever seen. Thank you.
I'm Tim Torino. I got involved with the festival committee shortly after Karen and I put together the little project called the Dream Park years ago, back in 1997. I believe it was Kathy Thomas who invited me to the first meeting. And as it is with many volunteer committees, as many of you would recognize, let's see, I think I was at the first meeting. At the next meeting, there was an election, and I was on the board. And like 2 years, within a year and a half or so, John Klinzing said, "Oh, by the way, I'm going to be leaving," and took over as president at the time. And Karen was in charge of the art fairs, so it really goes along with your theme here, Bob, about families being involved and such. But what Karen and I have been able to do now over the last couple of years, since I stepped down as president and Jim took over, was watch what the next group does. Because there's a different direction, there's a different energy, there's a different bit of excitement that takes place with all that. And each one of those people, Cleansing before me, my period of time when I was president, and now with Jim and Lori and the whole crowd, it's really changes things dramatically. You know, it's amazing that you can get 40 to 50,000 people down there. And the majority of that work is done in about 6 meetings by about, what do you think, maybe 10 or 12 people? Is that about it? It's not a big crowd. It's an amazing process, actually. We really, as Bill had mentioned a moment ago, just the help that comes about from the fire department and the police department is tremendous. One of the things that I always really enjoyed was about 2 weeks after the festival, on a very regular basis, I would get a check for $100 in the mail. And it was a donation to the festival committee. Somehow they got a hold of the city of Monona and said, okay, who's the president? And I would get a check in the mail. And it was from someone who lives in Madison. The building's 2 or 3 doors down from the terrace over there, because they have a fabulous view of our fireworks. And every year I would take one of our T-shirts and send it back to them. I never got to know the people, but it was quite the experience to have. So it doesn't just impact here in Monona, it really impacts the whole county in a lot of ways. So to the people who have helped out and volunteer with the festival, it's really an amazing process, and I applaud you for that. So thank you very much. Actually, I would point out now that since I was asked to come up here and speak for the festival committee, that now I'm a threefer.
Oh, Kathy, competition. I didn't get any brownies from you. Oh, okay. Thank you. So all this volunteerism is wonderful, but somebody needs to organize these committees and help bring names for me to assign to these committees. And that is called city staff. And so I would ask the city staff, any of the city staff, to please rise, because these are the people who put those agendas together and figure out the planning that goes into making your volunteer experience hopefully a little more pleasurable than just giving up one more night. So a round of applause for city staff. Please rise. Chief. Come on, guys. And continuing in our family vein, it's so touching tonight. My family, at least my family, every other Monday night for city council meetings and through a number of committee meetings. My family being the city council. If I could ask the city council members to please rise. The alders. For the 6. So thank you very much. But we are sticking to the family theme tonight. And this is a case of somebody that I I really have to say, I wouldn't be here if it was not for this next individual. And that's true because if he kept being mayor forever, I wouldn't have had the pleasure of doing this job. So I would like to honor both Rob and Jennifer Call. Rob and Jen obtained their undergraduate degrees at Ripon College. Rob graduated cum laude in 1994, where he continued his education at the UW Law School and graduated in 1997. We have a little theme going on here with these couples, though, because while at Ripon, he met his wife, Jennifer, and the two married in 1996. In 98, they moved back to Jennifer's hometown, the Kitzler hometown of Monona, where they live today with their four children. How many children are back there? 1, 2, 3 tonight. All those children. And where they attend Monona Grove Public Schools. Both Jen and Rob continue to serve on various community and school boards, coaching youth sports teams, and spearheading any number of community fundraising events. Jen has served on the Park and Rec Board since 2011. Did I mention she has 4 children? She was also on the Family Attraction, Retention, and City Promotion Committee from 2010 at its inception until the committee was disbanded because everything was running so well here in 2014. Jen was on that committee the entire time. Did I mention she has 4 children and still attends these meetings? Jen was also instrumental in raising money to build the Winnequa Dream Park Shelter and is also one of the chairpersons for the incredibly successful annual Winnequa Middle School Trivia Night fundraiser that occurs in this very room every winter and has provided more than $25,000 in much needed funding for important technology improvements to Winnequa Middle School. Her partner, the guy I owe this job to, now, instead of Mayor Call, Representative Call, served the city of Monona for 10 years, 2 as an alder and then 8 as the mayor. He was also a member of the Zoning Board of Appeals and was CDA chair for some time. During his 4 terms as mayor, then Mayor Call led some very important efforts to rebuild the city's aging infrastructure, expand and improving public services, doubled the size of Monona's Rainy Day Reserve Fund, and established community sustainability efforts, and really worked hard to increase economic development. Along with his public sector work, Representative Call has pursued an active private sector career, which I'm happy to say he exercises here in Monona. He's a small business owner where he had originally had 1 employee. He's now up to 5 employees with his Generation Title Company, a company he started in 2006. He's also the executive director and general counsel for the nonprofit labor and management organization, and again serves on numerous business, government, and other higher education boards. So it's with great pleasure I would like to honor my neighbors, my friends, and did I mention they have 4 wonderful children? Rob and Jennifer Call.
Of course, I'm going to say something. This is such a great honor to live here and serve here. I do have to rib Bob a little bit. My 4-year-old daughter back there said, "When is that guy going to stop talking?" To which my 6-year-old son said, "That's Bob. He never stops talking." Kids, luckily he's got a cold. Otherwise, we'd have a 20-minute PowerPoint on dog parks, followed by an off-key rendition of Danny Boy and talks of Guinness beer. This is always a great event every year, very fun event to recognize everybody. I see a lot of familiar faces, a lot of friends. And for Jennifer and I really do appreciate Bob doing this, is a recognition of us as a couple, because as Bob knows, and if Pam were here, she would certainly say that, Dick and Marianne, late Tom Metcalf, Margaret Metcalf, and others, it's a team effort because there's a lot of weeks where it's 3-4 nights a week you're here at City Hall and during the day and so forth. And as Bob noted repeatedly, we have 4 kids. And so somebody's got to hold down the fort. And it's something where you do it because you care. And what I think, as Bob noted, it's something where I care, but Jennifer cares just as much or more about this community. This is her true hometown. Bob and I get to MC an annual event here every year where we raise money, as he noted, for the Winnequa School for, unfortunately, with public education cuts, we have to raise money just for pure technology needs in the schools, and we've done, I think, $25,000, $30,000 over the last couple of years. And that's because her and I think 2 other mothers and one of the teachers at Winnequa decided we should start doing something. And that's what it takes. It just takes volunteers. And that's why this is such a great community, because people care that much and want to give back. And so it's a great honor. It's been a great honor for me to serve as mayor and now as state representative. Great honor, I know, for Jennifer to continue to serve in various capacities. And we just love it. We love raising our kids here and being a part of this community. And I appreciate all of you as volunteers, appreciate the council members that are continuing to serve, because I know it's a pretty thankless job. As I look at you all, I was there and I know. But I will tell you this is a much better job than being downtown in that building, because you can actually get something done here and be productive and see results, the next week after you take a vote versus what's going on down there. It's pretty frustrating, I'll be honest. So enjoy the time, because you really, really are making a difference, and you guys are doing a fantastic job, both the elected officials and all the volunteers. So I want to thank you for, again, recognizing us, Bob. We appreciate it. You sure you don't want to say anything? All right, fine. All right, thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
So, young call ladies, did you think he was ever going to get done talking? I am done. But one last thing. I want to sincerely thank each and every one of you for all that you do. There's been a common thread through this, and it's the self-serving, or non-self-serving, the giving nature of community service. And as Representative Call just said, we get things done. You get things done. And I am so grateful for that can-do-ness that each and every one of you. So thank you on behalf of the city from the bottom of my heart. And there are many people so well-deserving of these awards. Throughout the year, come visit me at my office at the Farmers Market and let me know about that neighbor who does amazing things for the community, or a friend, or whoever, because I really do appreciate the opportunity to honor those who give so much for the city. So without further ado, I don't know if there's still some more treats, but the bar's still open, and thank you until next year or Sunday. Thanks, everyone.